Alright, so welcome back to our series Object Oriented Programming. So this video is part of that series. In our last video, we discussed about what is an object and how a software object can be related to a real world object like bike or lamp and so on. Now in this video, let's understand what is a class in the object oriented programming and how this concept is related to the object concept. Imagine there is a bike factory and that factory produces thousands of bikes of same model, and each bike has state like the color of the bike, the speed of the bike, the cadence and so on. And of course each bike also has a behavior like braking, changing gears, and so on. So just for the sake of the example, let's imagine a mechanical engineer is creating these bikes or developing these bikes. So before they do, they need to understand how a bike should look like, what kind of functionality it should be able to provide, and they need to look into the physics and all the corresponding gravity laws, and they need to come up with a design. And this is the design that we call as a blueprint, in other words. So imagine there is a blueprint created by the engineers for the bikes. Based on the blueprint, the factory is producing hundreds and thousands of bikes. So here what you need to understand is the blueprint is the input. So the blueprint decides how the bike should look like, what are the characteristics does the bike should have, and what kind of behavior the bike should exhibit, and what kind of state the bike should carry. So all of these details are technically provided inside the blueprint, and based on the blueprint, the engineers, they build the bike in the factory. Now the same concept applies to the software object. So in the software, we also have a concept called blueprint. So the blueprint is called the class in the object oriented programming, and each class in the object oriented programming will define what is the state of the object and what is the behavior of the object. So both of these two characteristics are defined in the class, and the class is the blueprint. So based on this class, in programming, we will create hundreds of objects, hundreds of similar objects, and we can use those objects inside our programming logic to build the software applications. So what you need to understand here is, just like the way how a blueprint helps the engineers to build the bikes in the factory, like hundreds of bikes of same model, same make, with a little bit of difference in the color or so on. Similarly, a software engineer should be able to come up with a blueprint. It's called a class in the object-oriented programming, and based on that class, he or she can create the objects within the program. And we also call these objects or instance of the class. And here also we can say the bike is the instance of this blueprint. Similarly, each software object is an instance of its corresponding class. So here in this class example, although this looks like Java, but forget about the programming language for now, because the concept is same across all the object-oriented programming languages. So in this class, we have these data members defined. So these variables or the data members, they represent the state of the corresponding objects. And the methods change cadence, change gear, speed up, apply brakes. So these are the methods that defines the interaction or the behavior of these objects, bike 1 object and bike 2 object. Now you can notice how these functions that are defined inside the class can be accessible on any given object. Alright, so we'll look into more about this concept in hands-on session, where we'll write a class, we'll create a bunch of objects and we'll try to play around with the programming. Alright, so before I end the video, let me summarize one more time. So the object and the class, they both are related. A class is a blueprint that defines what state and what behavior the object should have. And based on the class, you can create hundreds and thousands of similar objects, and you can use those objects in your programming to build the software applications. So that's all for this video, and I will see you in the next.